Good evening, I'm Sarah Sapsanama. Let's begin with the headlines of the hour. The failure of Nepal's prime ministers to hold a single meeting with India's opposition leaders in the past 10 years sheds light on diplomatic lapses. Premier Dahal's statements invite flack. Lawmakers allege the budget for next fiscal has failed to address issues in the education, agriculture and labour sectors. Express doubts on the implementation of agriculture investment decade. Malawi's Vice President, Saulos Chilima, and 9 others, including his wife, killed when the plane they were travelling in crashed in Chikangawa mountain range. Nepal to play its second match under ICC T20 World Cup against Sri Lanka tomorrow. Both the sides under pressure to win to progress into Super 8. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been serving in the post since the year 2014. During this period of decade, 4 Prime Ministers of Nepal have visited the southern neighbour on 10 different occasions during their respective terms. However, none of them met with opposition leaders. This has fueled the country's weakness in terms of bilateral relation. Former Prime Ministers Sushil Koirala, KP Sharma Oli, Sher Bahadur Dewa and Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal had visited India on 10 different occasions since Modi's term began in 2014. However, they did not meet opposition leaders. Indian ministers hold meetings with leaders from both ruling and opposition parties during their visit to Nepal in an effort to maintain smooth bilateral relation. Premier Dahal also met with the Indian President, Prime Minister and ministers during his India visit 2 days ago. He did not express willingness to hold dialogues with the opposition leaders. Meanwhile, Bangladeshi Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina had met with opposition Indian Congress Party leaders Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi. This is just a representative case. Premier Dahal did not meet with the opposition leaders during his India visit a year ago. He had visited New Delhi as CPN Maoist Centre Chair upon the invitation of BJP before becoming Prime Minister 2 years ago. During that time, he had met with the Foreign Minister and other government officials. However, he ignored the opposition leaders. Likewise, former Prime Minister Sher Bahadur Dewa also did not meet with opposition leaders during his visit to India in April of 2022. He went out of the bilateral limit and reached the office of BJP instead. KP Sharma Oli too did not hold dialogues with the Indian opposition leaders during his time. Former prime ministers used to hold bilateral talks with opposition leaders until a few years ago. However, this trend has not been given continuity. The decision regarding calling back ambassadors has demonstrated that the country's politics is immature and hasty. With the change in government alliance, ambassadors appointed by the previous governments are called back. The trend of appointing ambassadors based on political reach has been given continuity. Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal made a similar decision 2 days before leaving for his visit to India to attend his Indian counterpart's oath-taking ceremony. Important bilateral meetings had already been scheduled before Prime Minister Dahal departed for New Delhi to attend the oath-taking ceremony of Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Premier Dahal also met with Indian President Draupadi Murmu and Minister S. Jaishankar. The ambassadors' coordination for such meetings is essential. However, Premier Dahal decided to call back the Nepalese ambassador to New Delhi 2 days before he left for India. His decision has been termed immature. Meanwhile, in this context, the Premier replied that he did not consider the matter. The Premier's remark proves that the government does not prioritize the bilateral area. Experts, meanwhile, say that such issues cannot be ignored. The haste shown by government in calling back ambassadors and the remark made by Premier Dahal has drawn widespread criticism. The country's presence in the international fraternity has become weak due to the government's disregard towards bilateral issues. Likewise, the frequent change in the ambassadors to foreign countries who represent Nepal can also affect the way other countries view Nepal. Appointment of ambassadors are also done on power share. President Ramchandra Paudel has left for Geneva to participate in the International Labour Organization Convention. President Paudel left for Switzerland and Germany visit earlier today. The president will reach Geneva via Doha, Qatar. First Lady of Nepal, Sabita Podil, is also visiting Geneva. This is the first official foreign visit of Podil after being appointed to the post. He is scheduled to address the inaugural stage of the high-level session of the convention titled Worldwide Alliance for Social Justice as the keynote speaker. Following his visit to Switzerland, Podil will leave for Berlin, Germany on 15th of June. He will conclude his visit and return on 19th of this month. The session of the House of Representatives was pushed by 2 days on Sunday and Monday as the ministries failed to ready the Red Book. It arrived today, however, ministers were absent to hold discussion. Today's schedule had agenda for discussing the budgets for Ministry of Youth and Sports, Agriculture and Livestock Development, Labour, Employment and Social Security and Education Ministry. However, Minister for Sports, Biraj Bhaktashrestha, was absent. Discussion on the ministry's budget was hence removed from the agenda. 3 other ministries opined that the budget had failed to address the issues of the sectors. They also said that the budget was traditional and did not have plans to uplift the underprivileged population and marginalized farmers. Meanwhile, parliamentarians from the ruling alliance defended the budget, saying it was transformative. However, they did add that the Prime Minister's employment program and domestic employment had to be emphasized to address the problem of unemployment. They also suggested the government to implement farmers' card for better use of the agriculture grant. Other lawmakers said farmers struggle to find chemical fertilizers despite a large amount of budget being allocated for it and suggested to establish chemical fertilizers factories. The parliamentarians also criticized the government for reducing budget in agriculture while announcing the decade to be agriculture decade, saying that 59.29 billion rupees allocated for the ministry would not suffice. They also added that 8.1 billion allocated for Labour Ministry was inadequate. Lawmakers also demanded a review of the minimum wage of 17,300 rupees. Now, in our Public Voice segment, today we've asked people in several provinces what is the reason for the decrease in number of students at campuses. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
भविष्य सुन्दर छैन त्यही गयो भने भोलि तीको ग्रीन कार्ड होल्डर लगायत अन्य पनि व्यवसायहरू गर्न पनि ती सजिलो हुन्छ भन्ने सोचेर उनीहरु चाहिँ अहिले विदेशैतिर पलायन भइरहेका छन्
प्लस 2 गर्ने अनि यहाँ व्यवस्था जाने विदेशतिर जाने सबभन्दा सोच चाहिँ त्यो भइराछ त्यसले गर्दा विद्यार्थीसँगै घट्ने
रोजगारी पाउनको लागि पढ्ने हो यो देशमा रोजगारी केही पनि देखिएन र सबै विदेशी नै लायो
विद्यार्थी प्लस 2 गरेपछि विदेशी ने एउटा लहर अवसर को खोजी
डिग्री पास क्यारे मास्टरी गरे पनि एउटा जागिर पाइदैन नभएपछि त अब जनताले त विदेशमै जानु पर्यो नि त
बेरोजगारी भएको कारणले पनि स्टुडेन्ट प्रायः जसो यहाँ बस्न अलिकति मनस्थिति हुँदैन
विदेशमा पढाइ पढ्नु विदेशबाट शिक्षा लिनु त्यहाँ रोजगार पाउँछ भनेर मात्र मलाई लाग्छ कि यो शिक्षा क्षेत्र घटेको
पढेसी यहाँ काम चाहिँ जागिर चाहिँ त पाउँदैन नेपालमा बढी सबैजना विदेश जान खोज्छन् बढी पैसा कमाउने कहाँ कमाउने भनेर
प्रविधि मैत्री चाहिँ शिक्षासँग जोड्न नसकेको कारण
It is now time for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
But before today's question, let's take a look at the results from yesterday's poll. Yesterday, we asked you what's your say on political leaderships that blame federalism and the electoral system but fail to improve themselves. 36% voted for option A, improve on working ways, 16% for B, implement the constitution, and 48% for C, not carrying out works, blaming the system. And here's today's question. What should be done regarding the encroachment and exploitation of the lands of Pashupati? Your options are A, immediate investigation and action, B, trust should be more responsible, and C, stop political interference. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. Welcome back. Police have arrested 4 individuals who have been accused of fraud of 150 million rupees on the pretext of sending people abroad. They've arrested and made public Rajkumar Bhatta of Bharatpur, Chitwan, Nabin Bika of Machapuche Rural Municipality, Kaski, and Pawan Panta of Pokhara Metropolis. Likewise, police have also arrested Narayan Kumar Khadka of Solukhumbu in connection to a similar case. The Kathmandu Valley Crime Investigation Office has said that they had scammed more than 300 people and accumulated around 150 million rupees on the pretext of sending them to the USA, Cambodia, New Zealand and France. Police have also said that complaints have been filed against them, citing that they had set up fake accounts in Facebook, Messenger, WhatsApp, among other digital platforms to the unsuspecting individuals. Now, the state's constitution has yet to be fully implemented, as more than 100 laws are yet to be formed, which has also affected the implementation of federalism. The race for power among political parties has dented political stability, while leaders have now begun showing faults in the current electoral system and the federal system as well. There were faults in the current political and election system, which has evolved through many historical stages. The then panchayat system, which was deemed faulty, was mainly removed as it failed to address the population under the poverty line. There are arguments now if rulers would benefit a nation more, as evidently seen in countries like those in the Gulf and Europe. Even the northern neighbor China, that runs in one-party system, has done well, standing as the second richest nation of the world. However, countries like US and Brazil, where presidents are directly elected, have also been prospering. Southern neighbor India, with direct elections, also has done well for itself. Questions are also being raised on the ability of the leadership to deliver, which has not been the case for Nepal. Instead, they are riding on the lapses in the political system as an excuse for their failure. Since the promulgation of Constitution 9 years ago, it was expected that every citizen would have equal access to the state system, inclusion would be guaranteed, political stability would be ensured, and the country would move ahead towards development. The state constitution also provisioned against proposing for no confidence motion against the government for the first 2 years to ensure political stability. However, the federal government has been unstable regardless of it. The equation of the ruling alliance has changed several times, which has also had ripple effects in the provincial setup. The scenario has overall raised a big question on the relevance and effectiveness of federal setup for Nepal. The federal government has yet to finalize many laws required for the smooth operation of the provinces. The current election system has been an excuse for the leadership to use for lack of delivery. Based on the current election system, the candidate with the highest votes wins the polls, and then there is a proportionate category in effect. Leaders say the mixed election system has resulted in an unstable government. They say the House of Representatives should be limited to candidates that are directly elected. Hence, analysts call for correction on part of the political leadership itself and their modus operandi. It is time now for international update. Malawi's Vice President Saulos Chilima has been killed in a plane crash along with 9 other passengers, the country's president Lazarus Chakwera announced earlier today. The remains of the military plane were located in a mountainous area in the north of the country a day after it went missing in bad weather. President Lazarus Chakwera later said in a televised address that none of the 10 people on board, including the 51-year-old Chilima, had survived after the aircraft crashed into a forest. 7 passengers, including a former First Lady and 3 military crew members, were on board. The plane left the capital, Lilongwe, on Monday but failed to make its scheduled land at Mzuzu International Airport, about 370 kilometers to the north, about 45 minutes later. The president had then ordered national and local authorities to conduct an immediate search and rescue operation to locate the whereabouts of the aircraft. Chilima, who's serving his second term as vice president after swapping his support from Chakwera's rival, former President Peter Mutharika, for the election in 2020, was seen as a potential candidate in next year's presidential election. That is despite an arrest in 2022 over allegations of bribery linked to supply contracts for the armed forces and police. However, a court dropped the charges last month after the Director of Public Prosecutions filed a notice for the case to be discontinued. Chilima has denied wrongdoing. Critics claim that the case shows that Chakwera is not serious about his promises to fight corruption. That is all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Good night.